Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the VML, sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. My name is Nicole Callahan, also known as Lady of the Crease, and I am joined here by the fantastic Kuro. How are you doing tonight, Kuro?
Woo! I'm doing great. I can't wait to watch some standard tonight. It's going to be awesome. We're going to see some strategies. And oh boy, we have some treats for you. If you thought last week was crazy, this week is twice as crazy. We got this. We have some fun stuff locked up for you guys today.
Cannot wait. There is a lot of great stuff to go into after such a wild weekend at MagicCon Chicago, where there were plenty of VMLers out and about, taking down tournaments, doing amazing things, working with Birds of Paradise. If you haven't checked out Birds of Paradise yet, what are you doing? Make sure you're following them and us on Twitter and here on Twitch. Here on Twitch, we're twitch.tv/VMLMTG. Hit that follow button for us. Check us out at VMLMTG on Twitter. And I'm ready to kick things off here in season. I can't believe it's season 11. We have done 11 seasons of VML, and we're halfway done with this season already.
We're already almost there. It's crazy.
I know. It's wild. It's wild. We are in week number 5. Just so you know, this is 128 players. Huge. So many people. 128 players, 16 divisions. We play in a round robin for 7 weeks. There's a wild card week, and then we cut to a playoff of the top 32. And again, we are sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, so a big thank you to them for their support of the VML. And let's get into what's happening this week. Here we've got our metagame breakdown, and I feel like, Kuro, I should just let you drive, because I see it right there at the top, big letters, just Azorius Control, our most played deck, blue-white control, and Kuro is our resident control deck aficionado. So tell me, what is it that made everybody register control this week?
Well, blue-white control is sort of known for being very reliable, and in before this standard season, it was fighting against the mid-range decks that were in standard, especially like Esper, Grixis, a lot of that stuff. If you remember the new Capenna standard, for instance. However, nowadays, because we have a lot more aggressive strategies such as Boros Convoke that is sort of getting in the meta, along with the 5-color domain strategies that people have been seeing, Azorius Control seems very well situated. It has very efficient board wipes to deal with aggro, and the card advantage that it accrues is much better than the card advantage that 5-color decks can get. Its worst matchup, I would argue, would be the Esper midrange deck, which is second here, because the Esper midrange deck can get the card advantage but also have very resilient threats. However, Azorius Control still has a lot of the very powerful and efficient removal that it needs to deal with those sorts of things. We've also seen a little smattering of Slogurk combo, which we saw a little bit of last week. One of my favorite rogue decks that I've seen. I don't even know if it's rogue anymore, just because people saw it. I guess people really wanted to play it. It's such a wild deck. I hope we can see some action this time around. And
Yes.
after that, we just a lot of archetypes we've seen before, but this standard format, oh boy, it is very nice. I love seeing blue-white control and dominance.
Right, it really is a nice spread. Like you said, Esper mid-range behind that. Now, remember, there are 128 decks being submitted every single week. So we're looking at Azorius Control and Esper mid-range. It's about 40. It's not even a third of the metagame or those top 2 decks. So we see Boros Convoke kind of tick down from its popularity in past weeks, but still a strong showing. Like you said, people are gherkin all over the place. 5-color domain still hanging on, and as is Rakdos midrange. But then there are so many one-of decks. As you look at this little slices of pie, keep getting smaller and smaller. So many, almost ran out of colors, honestly, to put on this pie wheel, on this pie chart here to show just. This looks like a very healthy metagame to me. This looks like, show up, you'll find a deck that you like, whether it be control, mid-range, aggro, combo. There's something for everybody in standard right now, and I think standard's in a great spot.
Absolutely.
And speaking of being in a great spot, we are in a great spot to take a look at our first matchup of the night. And there we go. It is Azorius Control. Woo! and the wonderful NileJoan is our pilot here. If you aren't following Nile, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. At NileJoanRivers on Twitter. NileJoanRivers on here on Twitch, actually hosting the Birds of Paradise 2K happening on a Sunday. Make sure you tune into that. So make sure you're following Nile Jones and see our friends at Birds of Paradise running that awesome tournament with a bunch of the VML casters hopping over there to help out. So can't wait for that. But I guess even though I could talk about Nile all night, enough about her, and let's talk about this deck. Now, you were saying it's just a very flexible deck, and it's very well positioned in the metagame right now. So, any thoughts about this particular list?
Well, we can see a lot of preparation for aggro decks. We see, I believe it's a full playset of Temporary Lockdown, which is, you would think, is a niche sideboard card. Very, very intentional against the Boros Convoke decks that like to spam tokens on the battlefield. Nice new counterspell, No Way Out, Mana Leak, and Dissipate Having a Baby. And of course, the return of Think Twice, one of my favorite blue card draw spells, in the form of Deduce, which is Think Twice with extra upside. You have some really, this is a very straight up uh, sort of basic blue-white control deck. You got all your card advantage pieces. You got removal. You got closers in the form of the creature lands, the animate lands, as well as the wandering emperors. Your sideboard is also very classic. You have lots of negates. You have lots of jaces. Even Elspeth Smite if you're dealing with, say, mono red a little bit. It's just a good, well-rounded list.
Love it. Love to see it. And now let's see what Nile is up against this week. And Chelsea has brought Dimir Tempo. So I see a lot of flyers, a lot of like little pings getting in with 2-1s and 1-1s, and a lot of damage hoping to add up, and then ways to protect in spells like Make Disappear, card advantage from cards like Preacher of the Schism. Any thoughts about this list and how this matchup is going to go?
I have noticed that Deep Cavern Bat seems to be quite well positioned in this meta right now. Mesmeric Fiend was a very good card back in its day, where it would enter the battlefield and steal your opponent's best card. And Deep Cavern Bat does that, but is also a flyer with lifelink and with lifelink, which means that it gets extra value if you say have a Gix. Now I understand this deck doesn't have Gix on it, but it does have Kaido Shizuki. So being able to attack with your 1/1 flyer, drawing cards, you get virtual card advantage from your graveyard trespasser, because to kill it you need to pay the ward cost or have a board wipe. Preacher of the Schism getting card advantage. If you have a higher life total, you attack with it, draw a card. All these creatures incidentally gain card advantage in addition to being flying threats. And the control deck may have a difficulty trying to answer these on a one-for-one basis.
All right. So let's see how this matchup will go down. Let's take it over to Nile on Azorius Control versus Chelsea on Dimir Tempo. Now, we will be watching from the side of our blue-white control player, Nile, on the bottom. We've got Chelsea on the top of your screen. And let's take a look at these opening hands.
Oh
Well,
my.
that's a hand of the week, isn't it there?
That is, I laugh, but wow, that is so unfortunate. Even a single colored land would have been fine there, even if it was like a blue. But not being able to cast No More Lies, not being able to cast anything until turn 3, where you have to crack a Field of Ruin, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that hurts. Being on the draw here is Nile, as Chelsea also takes a mulligan. So keeping things fair here. Both players going down to 6. And let's see if Chelsea decides to keep her 6 as we take a look at Nile's here. Looking better?
Much better. Turn 1 Archive into a turn 2 Iganjo, so you can cast No More Lies, is very reliable. Disruption Protocol is probably going to the bottom because there's no double blue. March of Otherworldly Light is very nice. Yeah, there it is. Oh, no?
We'll see.
Oh? Well, in any case, the March will be useful. The Counterspell is marginally useful. Because Chelsea's deck has so many cheap threats, Counterspells are reactive. And if Chelsea has 2 creatures by the time No More Lies is cast, it's not a good time.
Yeah.
We have lockdown for that.
It looks like Nile was messing with you, as the disruption does go to the bottom. And starting with the archived Surveil 1, taking a look at that top card of the library, No More Lies. Is that going to stay on top or move into the graveyard? Nile, how important is it for Nile to make her 4th land drop here?
Well, I said this. I remember saying this last week and saying it this week as well. A control deck wins by advancing the board state as much as it possibly can. The longer the game goes, the better off control is. And if the control is able to get more lands on the battlefield, that is how they advance their board state. Other decks may play creatures or do other things like that, but the control deck needs to get lands on the battlefield because that's their way of getting permanence on the field. The more lands you have, the better. Unfortunately, NileJoan took a second counterspell, and this may help for answering Chelsea's threats. But if it's not a land, that means that NileJoan may not be able to play Memory Deluge, which could theoretically get into more lands or more board wipes. Right now, we'll have to see what the draws are, but I don't know. There's no deduces in sight, so
Yes.
they might not be as good as we hoped.
And now we see Malcolm getting in from the side of Chelsea. So NileJoan will drop down to 18. Malcolm doing its thing, drawing a card, discarding a card, putting a counter on it. Now we see that Nile did allow the Malcolm to resolve. Is there a different spell that Nile would be more afraid of, that would prefer to counter over this Malcolm?
Yeah, I mean, this Malcolm right now isn't doing too much, but in the future, if Chelsea is to play a Kaido Shizuki or a Graveyard Trespasser, those are high priority counterspell targets. Because Nalgem does not have removal for those cards very easily right now. Um, Unfortunately, Chelsea's playing on NileJoan's end step, which is extremely good for her. She doesn't have to worry at all about counterspells as much. And NileJoan's removal doesn't look like it's going to quite get there. Um, in
Yes,
the March
as
might.
Chelsea's
Hmm.
getting in again, this time for 4. So the damage is really adding up as Nile drops down to 14. Malcolm, again, going to loot here, ticking up to 2. And the question is, are we going to see anything from Nile on the end step here?
I would be tempted to march one of the 2 drops, probably Malcolm, because if that gets a third, no, four course. If that gets a fourth counter, and Malcolm's drawing Chelsea's deck, Chelsea can just loot through all of the removal that would normally be dead. Um, Now Joan can get virtual card advantage by taking advantage of the fact that Chelsea starts the game with multiple removal spells that are useless. But since Chelsea can discard them to Malcolm, those removal spells aren't really, they don't have to be as much of a liability. I would be tempted to kill a Malcolm because you don't want Chelsea to run through her deck. You also don't want her casting stuff for free. This Yuta Takahashi is kind of threatening. It does get card advantage, but it also lets Naljon draw a card, so it's not the worst to keep around.
And now, like you said, we see the March of Otherworldly Light targeting that Malcolm. And that would exile the Malcolm. As we see, like you had said, also Chelsea able to kind of filter through her deck so far. We saw a subterranean schooner as well as a cut down hitting bin. And Chelsea is going to allow the March of Otherworldly Light resolve.
Ooh,
So
this being a plains and not a island is so rough, I
yes,
think.
the, keeping Memory Deluge offline for Nile, but other options here can field something, play temporary lockdown. How important is it to have Field of Ruin against the Mirrex that we see being activated right now?
Right now, it's not a huge threat, but killing the Murex is definitely a priority at some point. But keeping it for the Restless Reef is also an important thing. Although the Restless Reef can be killed by a March for 0, so that's not as huge of an issue. The Murex being able to get tokens without spending a card is really, really important because it means that now Joan answering it with a card means that that's losing card advantage in the long run.
Yes, and here we see the Field of Ruin targeting the Mirrex. We'll see if Chelsea does anything in response.
This is
This
nice. It does 2 things. It gets rid of the Murex and gets an island for that Memory Deluge. And if NileJoan draws a land here, that temporary lockdown could be coming down, killing the tokens or other creatures, and allowing her to get some board advantage finally.
looks like Chelsea wants to take advantage of the mana that she will be netting here as the Mirrex was untapped and is going to cast a second Fairy Mastermind.
That's
So
pretty good.
what do you think that says about Chelsea's hand wanting to kind of like capitalize on that extra mana?
I think it means that Chelsea has a make disappear, and she's not worried about overcommitting. That's my prediction right now. We'll see how accurate it is.
Yes, because this temporary lockdown is looking pretty juicy from the side of NileJoan. If it can come down onto the battlefield, will Chelsea have a way to stop it?
And now we're kind of seeing the effects of what happens if Control misses a land drop. Because NileJoan didn't have a 5th land drop on turn 5, NileJoan cannot hold up No More Lies, which means that Chelsea isn't sacrificing a creature to make disappear. And NileJoan will also not be able to hold up No More Lies for whatever creature that Chelsea plays next turn. If Chelsea has another counterspell, I don't know how much longer this game's going to go.
Yes, Nile kind of skimming over that march of otherworldly light, but deciding to pass the turn as we saw the make disappear, take care of that temporary lockdown from Nile. And 3 cards in hand for Chelsea, still at 20 life. Like you said, didn't make the 5th land drop, but is definitely the board presence here. Those fairy masterminds getting in, as well as our little toxic friend. March of Otherworldly Light targeting the fairy mastermind.
I do like the fact that the No More Lies was exiled to that. I think it's not very helpful right now, especially since Chelsea is playing stuff at the end of NileJoan's turn. NileJoan also is fine tapping out. If Chelsea plays a creature here and NileJoan can Sunfall it, that's really good position.
Yes, 2 cards in hand. Still a scary spot. You
Oh,
don't know what Chelsea might have. We see Deduce on the side of Nile here.
I'd be tempted to play Memory Deluge just to try to get lands, because NileJoan not having that 5th land has been hurting for multiple turns now. I'm thinking about what would have happened if the archive had put the No More Lies in the graveyard, and we would have been 1 card deeper. And if that card on top of the deck is currently a land, that could have been a 5th land, maybe.
We see Chelsea presumably drawing and playing her 5th land and looking to sack that map token, targeting the Spyglass Siren. So we would get to see what's on top of Chelsea's deck, and it is a Deep Cavern Bat, and that will stay there.
That's a great card to have on top, because Chelsea is not out of the woods. Now Joan could have a Wandering Emperor. She doesn't, but she could. So Chelsea needs to have pressure to deal with potential threats. Oh my gosh, Deduce.
So opting to cast Deduce here, draw a card, investigate. So Nile would create a clue token, and it looks like that will happen. Depopulate is the draw. And nothing Nile can really do here besides just pass and go to damage. And this is another 5 damage that will take Nile down to 3.
Now these counterspells have unfortunately not been very effective because now Joan has been trying to maximize the potential, but by not countering Chelsea's threats, they're just sitting there in the hand being useless. It's really unfortunate. Oh, and Chelsea's drawing another card from the Fairy
Oh,
Mastermind.
right. Chelsea will. Well, there is land number 5 for Nile, but is it too late?
If Chelsea has a single counterspell, then the answer is yes.
So I think it's just play your card, hold your breath, see if it works. Sunfall from NileJoan. Will this connect?
Even if this does resolve, oh, the Fairy Mastermind did not get used. Never
Oh.
mind. Oh,
Oh,
never mind. It's a 3 power creature. Well,
yes. Tashana's Tidebinder will help Chelsea cross the finish line there in game number 1 as we move to sideboards. Now, what do you think the sideboard plan is here for Azorius Control versus that Dimir tempo deck?
well, I do like the Elspeth Smites here. They're 1 mana and they deal with most of the threats. I don't like the Jaces as much. I do like the Chrome Host Seed Shark. That is important. It definitely gets the board presence that you need. It's those counterspells didn't look so hot. I think that it's important to get those down as early as you can because you never know if your opponent's going to play into them. You might as well kill your creature's opponent's pressure and force them to have a 3-drop, then hope that you can counter their 3-drop. They're going to be playing around your cards. They know you're deckless.
Yes. As we see again, Nile having 3 land hand, all the colors looking pretty. And Chelsea's also going to take a look at Nile's hand and take one of those cards for herself for now. Deep Cavern Bat taking a little looky-loo here. Double temporary lockdown, depopulate, Wandering Emperor, Chrome Host, Seed Shark, and an Iganjo. Now, can't touch the Iganjo, but everything else is fair game.
Yeah, the Seed Shark's taken because the lockdowns being cast is okay. It's basically Portable Hole from last standard season. That's gone, but it's a 3-mana spells used. No counter spells to worry about.
Right, so Chrome Host, Seed Shark back to the hand for NileJoan. Chelsea going to make third land drop here and play Preacher of the Schism.
Oof.
So it's a powerful, powerful magic card, really making waves in multiple formats right now. And the best feeling is attacking with the Preacher of the Schism when both you and your opponent have the same life totals. You get to draw a card and make a token. We'll see if Chelsea is just going to get into the red zone here, which I imagine she will.
I remember pulling this card in limited. It was just such a powerhouse every time I got it down.
And there goes the 2/4 into the red zone, making a 1/1 life linker, drawing a card, and only need to pay 1 life for that extra little card there. I doubt we're going to see a block from Chrome Host, Seed Shark, and we will not. So NileJoan down to 18. And we'll see what the follow-up here is from Chelsea. Turn 4 of game 2. Highlighting that Seed Shark.
Does it go for the throat that I suspect? Perhaps? Mayhaps?
Just trying to make Nile worry about her Seed Shark, that's all. Stop
I'm gonna
my card.
I'm gonna cast Unsummon. Nope, it's good. There it is.
Go for the throat.
That's a land.
That is a land. That is land number 4. Double blue now available to NileJoan. So can take a breath. Now, Wandering Emperor is in hand. It doesn't feel as great when your opponent knows about it, but it's still pretty good, right?
Yeah, it makes Chelsea play around it. If the Emperor is cast and countered, then at least NileJoan has a depopulate for follow-up. Wow, duress. Okay. Well, that plan's going out the window.
So we'll see. Let's see if NileJoan opts to cast something in response to this duress. What would be more important, a Wandering Emperor or the Memory Deluge? Because although Nile has made land drop number 4, continuing to make land drops feels pretty good.
I do like casting Wandering Emperor and then holding the ability until the Preacher of the Schism attacks. Unfortunately, Tishana's Tidebander would be very inconvenient right now. Oh.
It would. It looks like Nile's considering. And
now, I don't think... I
No.
don't think Consider is in NileJoan's deck now. Oh, oh.
Is that blue-white control humor? Because I I like it. It works.
Wait just a moment.
Right? How did you deduce that?
Oh, that is in her deck, actually.
We see a Preacher getting in here with that little 1/1. So this is an attack for 3. NileJoan still at a healthy 18, would be dropping down to 15 here. And this just kind of screams, I have some sort of counter magic from Chelsea's side.
But is it Tishana's Tidebinder or is it a make disappear? It's a spell pierce?
Ooh.
Wow.
That was painful. So Chelsea up to 19, NileJoan down to 15. Otawara is the draw here. Oh. What's the thought? Can play depopulate, but doesn't have the No More Lies backup. What is the play from Nile here?
I'm having trouble finding outs. Nile doesn't have Memory Deluge access, so the draw is not very good. The depopulate is possible, but it's a 1-for-1. Temporary lockdown isn't going to get there. No More Lies has been, unfortunately, profoundly useless in this matchup. It hasn't had a really good opportunity to be cast. And Chelsea's playing on NileJoan's Instep, so that doesn't really work. Preacher of the Schism is sort of, it's going to get in there. Chelsea's going to draw 2 cards a turn. I would be tempted to play the Otawara and depopulate, but Chelsea almost certainly has a counterspell for it. I'm having a hard time finding it out.
I mean, Chelsea has done an exceptional job playing around and making Normalize sort of useless in this matchup because of the way Chelsea has navigated the matchup very well here. So
I'm surprised that it wasn't sideboarded out. I mean, I feel like other spells might have been better. Even a knockout blow might have been more useful because at least it's a removal spell against a lot of the creatures that are in the deck.
Normalize certainly has made its appearance in multiple formats as well, and honestly may have been one of the big pieces coming in to kind of revive Azorius Control as one of the top decks in the format.
Yeah, Mana Leak was historically good back in Magic 2012. For those of you who were a child when you were my age, um, and or rather, whatever, the phrase doesn't really make sense. Anyway, Mana Leak was so oppressive back in the day. It just countered everything, and that was before Cavern of Souls was legal. Even though Cavern of Souls is legal now in Standard, it's still No More Lies is still such an oppressive force. It's so versatile with what it does. And being able to exile the spell is just so nice.
We see Otawara bouncing the Preacher of the Schism back to hand. That little pesky 1/1's still going to get in and claim a point of damage. So NileJoan down to 14. Chelsea up to 20. Another Wandering Emperor is drawn here. Is it time to just pass the turn and see what Chelsea does? Think she's expecting a second Wandering Emperor?
There's a certain point where when you're control and you're playing against a deck that's a tempo deck, you sort of have to be a little more proactive. If you wait too long, your opponent's going to take advantage of that. They can just keep poking at you, and if you play any answers, they can say, okay, well, I have 38 other threats in my hand, and I only have 4 cards in my hand, so you got to deal with it. This Preacher is drawing 2 cards a turn. Like, that's insane. It's working out really well.
We'll see. Is this Wandering Emperor going to come down yet? It will not. I mean, I will say there are 2 Spell Pierces in Chelsea's deck, so that would hurt so bad. Instead, we see a Spyglass Siren out of Chelsea coming out of the battlefield, making a map token. Is she looking to explore immediately?
Well, yes, I do like a 2-mana 2/2 flyer with virtually no downside. That's pretty good.
Seems
Oh,
good. Oh,
there's a
Preacher.
land.
Dark Slick Shores will go into Chelsea's hand. Preacher maybe being the only non-victim of a temporary lockdown makes it a little more tempting, I guess.
Absolutely.
But we'll see a Wandering Emperor. And will Chelsea have an answer for the legendary Planeswalker? And she does, as Make Disappear will take care of Wandering Emperor. So the second one will hit the bin. Double Depopulate now in NileJoan's hand. Let's see if the first one will work.
Sometimes if you're in a position in your blue-eye control and you don't have all the answers in your hand, you sort of have to play as if you're going to draw them, because if the alternative option is you're just going to lose the game, you just got to play to your outs. And sometimes your outs are, I am going to trust that my deck is going to draw me another depopulate next turn or another land when I need it. Because sometimes you don't really have any other options. And in this situation, NileJoan does not seem to have that many options.
Right, as we see, Chelsea has another Make Disappear to take care of that Depopulate, and playing another land and activating this Restless Reef. So this is a huge attack. We see getting in for 8. So not only is NileJoan going to need a way to clear the battlefield, NileJoan will also need a way to handle the Restless Reef, as she drops down to 3 and Chelsea goes up to 20. March doesn't quite do it, as Nile is still only on 4 lands, so unable to cast Bulk Depopulate and March.
Nile can live a turn by casting Temporary Lockdown and exiling the 1/1s, and then casting March X equals 0 on the land. However, this requires that Chelsea has literally no way to deal with those cards, which I find unlikely.
We will see, as maybe perhaps Nile keeping the anchorage back for blocks and able to march once the land is activated and blocking, as Restless Reef is getting activated once again, the 4/4 Death Toucher, and I think it's everybody in the pool. We're all going swimming.
Love.
Milling 4 of her own cards, drawing a card off of Preacher, and Restless Anchorage will be activated here.
We're going to see a go for the throat.
We'll see if anything happens before blocks. The pause is not reassuring on the side of NileJoan. So we'll see if Chelsea does have something, and we see Restless Anchorage getting highlighted. It is a go for the throat to take care of the anchorage before blocks. So Chelsea is going to take that one down. 2 games to none. Dimir tempo over Azorius control. You had said during our metagame breakdown that these Dimir decks are sort of preying on these blue-white control decks.
Absolutely. I mean, it has the card advantage and the early threats that it just slides under the counter spells and can address the board wipes directly, which a red-white deck cannot do, for instance.
That was a super well navigated matchup by Chelsea, but well played by both sides, both Nile and Chelsea. Out of Division 8, good luck to you both next week. Good games for this week, and thank you for the entertaining games of Magic. As we move on to our next matchup this week here in week number 5, we are looking at division number 16. We have Sprite, the picture. Oh,
wow. A cat.
Kitty. So Sprite is currently 4-0 in her division number 16, and she has brought 5 color domain. Now, this is a deck that we have seen ebb and flow. Like we've seen Atraxa sort of just take over our metagame and then kind of fade into the background, and then all of a sudden come back and take over everything again and then kind of fade away. Where would you put 5 color domain as like its power level in standard right now?
It's hard to say because what you're describing is true. There's something called the Tron principle where a specific strategy can be played against quite easily if certain cards are used to address it. 5-color domain is very strong against very particular cards, but if you know how to defeat it and you play the right cards to beat it, it's not a very strong deck at all. So its strength is relative to the amount that people are prepared for it. If people aren't prepared for it, it's very nice and very reliable. You get lands, you get removal, you just kill your opponents for free. It's great. But if people are really prepared for it and they're playing counter magic and they're playing Field of the Ruins for your Cavern of Souls and they're playing board wipes for your herd migrations, you just can't deal with them. Like it doesn't work out and you can't get it through. This deck is very reliable. It's a very classic list. You got up the beanstalk shenaniganry. It's very cool. It's everything you could ever want. It's green, white, splash every other color.
Green, white, splash. Oh, everything.
Yep.
I actually do like the addition of the trumpeting Carnosaurs in this deck. I have not yet seen that, so that was an interesting one for me. Definitely can't wait to see this deck in action. As let's take a look at her opponent this week with 6/5. We've got they are 3-1 in Division 16. So okay. There's a lot to break down here, but then again, like I don't know if there's a lot. 68 card Slogurk. I
love this.
I'm
This
just
is
gonna,
great.
I feel like I'm from a world where like I don't even want to like mistakenly submit 61 cards. So so this kind of like I don't know. I think that this is wonderful, and I just get confused. I see 68 cards and I just short circuit. If you haven't noticed, I can't even get the words out for the past 15 seconds. But this is the deck that one of our VML community members took down the standard 75K with over the weekend in Chicago. So I, results talk. What can I say?
It's hard to describe this deck in a very succinct manner, but the best I can do is a self-mill landfall card advantage beatdown.
Ramp.
And that's sort of what I got, right? Because you have all these fetch lands, you get basic lands, lands go in your graveyard, triggers your landfall from your Nisa, triggers Slogurk. Eventually Slogurk gets pretty big, and it's a 3/3 trample for 3 at a base level, which is actually pretty good stats. And the fact that you can remove +1/+1 counters to save it while drawing 3 cards, quote unquote, by getting 3 lands back, that's pretty powerful. You can even combine that with like the channel lands, so you get additional value. You have Takanumas, you have Otawaras, you have Jaces to mill people. You have all sorts of shenanigans. You have removal, sideboard stuff. It's a bunch of really cool cards, and they all just kind of mesh together really well.
Yeah, not to mention it's so super easy to get these lands in your graveyard for Slogurk. There's,
Yeah.
there's the new Capenna, like basic fetch lands, and then any of the channel lands. This deck can, when the engine goes, it goes, and
Yeah.
I am very curious to see how this domain Slogurk matchup is going to go down. I feel like these are just like two just giants, like format giants, just absolutely gonna slug it out. Like, just back and forth Atraxa, just punching Atraxa over and over again. And this is just, whew, I cannot wait to see how this matchup goes.
I just adore how many lands there are. I believe, and if I'm counting this right, 9 times 4 is 30, 36. 36 lands. That's more than half the deck. That's awesome. That's so awesome. I love that. That's funny.
Hey, I am here for this. I think it's I really do think it's a solid list. It's awesome. I cannot wait to see it in action here on week 5 of VML. So let's move over to our Division 16 matchup. We got Sprite versus 6/5. We will be on the side of Sprite. That is our 5-color ramp player. On the top is 6/5, and they are our Slogurk player. So, all right. Oh, there we go. Gameplay has been sped up for time concerns. Do not adjust your stream. With love from the most amazing producer that we could ever ask for, Phoebe. Thank you so very much. As we are off to the races, literally, as we see Aftermath Analyst coming down on the side of 6/5, and we have Sprite going up the beanstalk as we see Aftermath Analyst getting in the 1-3 with the beats.
Well, that's it. Sprite's at 19 life. The game is over. Sprite loses 19, 1 whole damage. That's it. Game is over. Can't do anything. This Aftermath Analyst is going to do a lot of work with all the fetch lands that exist and all of the ways to get extra lands out and all the surveil, all the landfall. You sacrifice the Analyst, get back like 5 lands, so Nissa just continues to get landfall. It's just really strong. Really, really cool strats.
Yes. Nissa getting multiple, as we see the rest of 6/5's hand here go for the throat. A second Nissa, a Terror Tide, and a Memory Deluge, and we just see that engine is going. So after Math Analyst back to hands, and this is just, there's 7 lands on the battlefield. It's turn 3.
Turn 4
Oh,
on
turn
their
4
end,
on their end, yes.
but yes, this is quite strong. And Nissa is basically Lotus Cobra. If you have ever played it, where you get a land, you get an extra mana. Very nice. You're getting to sacrifice 3 lands. It's 6 extra mana, so you can after. Oh wait, this is infinite. I think this is just infinite mana because it costs 6, and then you pay 6. It's 2 to play, and then you pay 4 to activate it. So you get 3 lands. That's 3 mana. Then they all sacrifice. They get 3 more mana. So then, oh my god, that's amazing. This is great. This is the best thing since sliced bread. I am.
Oh. There is, well, there's a memory deluge to do some digging here, looking for another channel land to bring back. It looks like Slogurk and Splendid Reclamation are the finds off of that. That is rather incredible. So Nissa going to get in as a 3/3, Sprite down to 16, and Sprite's just sitting there like, can I take my turn now, please? So Sprite is going to play a forest, it looks like, and has the option to do a little bit of ramping. Can play Invasion of Zendikar or can get a Topiary Stomper down on the battlefield. Unfortunately, that Stomper would not be able to attack quite yet. Looks like not going to do anything and leaving up the Carnosaur channel ability. Well, discarding paying 2 in a red and discarding Trumpeting Carnosaur to deal 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, as Atraxa is now coming down on the side of 6/5. Gonna allow that to happen first. And taking a little look here, and you can see, like Kuro has said earlier, it's a pretty land-heavy deck, but for good reason. So we see Takenuma, Jace, the Perfected Mind, and Go for the Throat going to enter hand from Atraxa. But man, this is something.
Oh wow! If this Jace comes down, they mill themselves for say 15. All those lands enter the graveyard. That's Slogurk. Then
Oh,
Splendid Reclamation gets them all back. Gets even more mana. Slogurk triggers additional times because of all the sacri. Oh my gosh, this is. I love it. This is wonderful. I am having the time of my life. This is the world's greatest combo deck I've ever seen.
it looks like going to opt to Herd Migration to guarantee a landfall here and be able to cast Sunfall, making
Yeah,
that 5th land drop. So being able to exile is a big deal on the side of Sprite. Slogurk still able to bring back some lands to hand, as it does say, when it leaves the battlefield, not when it dies. So
that's right.
this about a second Nissa in 6/5 hand. So we see them play Nissa down and start with those sack lands.
Well, you can see the Splendid Reclamation in 6/5 hand. When it's convenient, all those lands are going to come back, which Nissa allows to add a ridiculous amount of mana. This Jace can come down, mill someone for 15. Takenuma can return a creature. It's just, oh my god, this is amazing.
Madness. It's organized though. It's organized madness. Like this is like this is like a dance. Like 6/5 knows exactly what they are doing, and they, this is their thing. Like don't get in their way. Don't mess up their groove. They're grooving right now.
You
Let
don't mess up their groove. That would
right?
be of a social faux pas of all time.
How many lands are in this deck? Because I'm trying to count the lands that are on the battlefield right now, and it's just a lot.
All of them. Every
All
land forever.
Every land. I mean, there are 36 land cards in 6/5's deck, but it's worth noting that it doesn't mean that 6/5 can actually have 36 lands out, because a lot of those lands are sacrifice lands. So I think about 12 of them are sacrifice lands. So really, 6/5 is expecting to have about 20 lands on the battlefield. You know, a casual 20 lands at the end of the game. Just 20.
yeah, it's just
I
only.
Oh my god, this is amazing. There's so many lands out. Like I would be tempted to play a single copy of that one card that exiles your opponent's library. You can just cast their whole deck.
And here comes
Just
Splendid Recommendation once again. So Nissa making just a trillion more mana and seeing what to do with it. That's a lot of mana.
and Sixes has been gaining a lot of life with these lands as well. So if you thought that you could deal damage to them, that's not going to happen.
Oh, I didn't even realize that Aftermath Analyst is an elf for Nissa for the second land drop when you're allowed to
Yes.
look at the top. So that's great. So they just are best buddies Nissa, an aftermath analyst.
Yeah, the
Best
whole deck,
friends.
it just all works together.
Some beautiful synergies as we see 6/5 just going through the motions, and Nissa is just exploding about every 15 seconds or so with as much mana as you could ever want, and life as well. You got to remember, every time that these that these sacrifice lands hit the battlefield, 6 is gaining another life, and that's not a non-zero thing. Sprite would need to be able to still kill 6/5 before the game would end, and that is going to prove to be exceedingly difficult if 6 gets up to a high enough life total.
You want another fun interaction that I noticed?
Give it to me.
The fact that those channel lands are legendary, 6/6 is sort of exploiting the fact that they have to go to the graveyard because they're legendary, which allows more landfall triggers when Nissa when the Splendid Reclamation is cast, because they're legendary lands, and then they come back and they immediately die so that they can be landfall triggers for the future.
I love it. I love it.
Well, that Jace is down, and it's milling, I guess. Drawing cards? Question mark. Oh, it's Sprite's turn. I didn't
It's
even
Sprite's
notice.
turn. Sprite gets to play a little magic now. Sprite's like, wait, it's on me? Like, I get to do something? This is great. Sprite has a 3/3 can make into a Phyrexian token there. Has double up the beanstalk, so is able to like cast a big spell and draw some cards here. But I think if you're in Sprite's shoes, you're just gonna be scared that you're just gonna lose the game next turn, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would be tempted to kill the Nissa and then hit the Jace with the, or even hit the Jace with the Carnosaur, just make sure that it can't do anything. The Nissa is such a vital part of the engine that if you kill Nissa, I think the whole game is just kind of, it's just kind of over, you know? Oh, another, wow. Time to get creature back.
Looks like Topiary Stomper and passing the turn back. So Takenuma, they're in 6/5 hands that we can see. Looking to play an Aftermath analyst once again, maybe? Oh, no, looks like going to start with the Takenuma, Abandoned Mire. So milling a few cards. I think we saw an Atraxa hit the bin there. That we did.
The Slogurk is necessary to return Takenuma so that Jace can be returned for an arbitrarily large number of mill for the opponent.
All right.
This makes sense.
We see Jace doing a little self mill here. So will -2. So Jace is down to 1. Let's see what 6 decides what they should do here. And it looks like Splendid Reclamation. And we are off to the races once again. Splendid Reclamation going to attempt to return all land cards from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And that doesn't really much matter for those sack lands.
Yeah, they're gaining a lot of life, but 6/5 is, I think, actually struggling a bit to close out the game. If Sprite can keep removing the Slogurk, oh no, but if the Slogurk dies, then the Takenumas get returned. Oh, this is interesting. So Takenuma will get returned to the hand, which allows Slogurk to come back. Yeah, there they go. 3 Takenumas. Yeah. 3 Disentunes, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Looks like it. And then Nissa's gonna go off and do her thing once again, making just so much mana. That is a lot. And they've stored so much life. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry. I also had a thought. I think 6/5 is out of lands.
I do believe you are correct, but just gonna keep on keeping on. Just play the land, get the landfall. Nissa doesn't. You don't need the land. You just need just play the Broker's Hideout. Nissa will give you the mana for it, and you gain a life. It's even better than a land.
Ooh. Jace was just returned. I think Jace is going to start coming down.
Ah.
I think Sprite's going to get milled. Yeah, Sprite's going to get milled out, I think.
I think you are correct, because it looks like starting to loop these Jaces together. And
Yep,
yes, we see
that's it.
-5 on Jace. So 15 cards of sprites going to the graveyard. For those of you not familiar with Jace the Perfected Mind, you can +1 to give a creature -3/-0. You can -2 to have a target player mill 3 cards. Then if a graveyard has 20 more cards in it, you draw 3 cards. Otherwise, you draw 1 card. Or you can -X, and target player will mill 3 times X cards. So
Yeah.
at full price, if you pay the 2 blue for Jace, you can mill 15 cards every time he comes down. We'll see if that's what they plan on doing here on Six's side, as it seems to be.
I would like to point out that 6/5 currently has no cards in their library. And they're going to win this game. They're going to win this game still, which is amazing to me.
What do they need cards for?
Who needs cards? Just play Fling, you know? Fling
Right?
Slogurk. Slogurk is so big right now. This is incredible. Man, that's just... This is the most absurd combo deck I've seen. This is even better than the legendary combo deck I saw last week, where it was just convoluted series of lands. This is amazing. Splendid Reclamation combo. It's almost like Scape Shift almost. You get all these lands out, you play 4-mana green spell, and suddenly you win the game.
It does kind of feel like that. Like a little more like, I don't want to say like convoluted, but a little more, there's a few more tricks to it. But yeah, it feels a lot like Scape Shift. Feels like this is a modern deck.
The only thing I'm trying to figure out is if this is an infinite combo or if this is simply a very, very efficient recursion engine. From what I can see, I don't think it's actually infinite. Because there's no way to recur the Splendid Reclamations enough. Wait. No, because the analyst, right? So the Splendid Analyst can be returned with Takenuma.
Right. And then you can return everything. You pay the 4, and then every time you do that, the Nissa gets a bunch more mana and everything. So
if
Nissa was going to get in the red zone for a second there, I think. But
whoa.
But boom goes the dynamite as our domain player mills out in game number 1. So game 1 will go to 6/5. They were our Slogurk player, and we'll take a look here at the sideboard for Sprite on her 5-color ramp deck. And what are we doing?
Negates. Get the counter spells in there. We do not want to see those Jaces. We do not want to see those Splendid Reclamations. We do not want to see any other shenanigans. We do not want to see any flim-flams, tomfoolery, ridiculousness, clown cars. We don't want to see any of that. We got to get rid of it. Get it out of here. And also, there's an argument to be made that Lithomantic Barrage is also not bad because it kills Jace for 1 mana. That's a pretty good rate, and it can be countered. So I mean, not that 6/6 is playing counter spells probably, but also Destroy Evil is actually also potentially a card. Maybe I don't know, because killing a thing with 4 toughness. I do like the Siege Shark because getting the pressure will be important, but I really think it'll just be based on whether or not 6/6 can get the combo to go off again.
Yes. And it looks like 6/5 also joining the Counter Magic Club, bringing in those Disdainful Strokes and those negates. Is there anything else you see here that you like or don't like?
Honestly, Duress isn't being brought in, and you can sort of understand why. It's not needed. Well, wait. Well, I guess there's one. It's sort of interesting, this matchup. Other than the negates, the 5-color domain deck doesn't actually have that much stuff that needs to be Duress. It's more just insurance. The thing that really works against 5-color, though, is the Disdainful Stroke. That Disdainful Stroke is so insanely helpful against like 90% of what Sprite actually cares about. So it just works.
All right, we're off to the races here on game number 2. I'm liking Sprite's Keep here, has double Leyline Binding, and we see Aftermath Analyst coming down. There was initially no blue on the side of 6/5, but we see drawing a Takanuma and then a Broker's Hideout, which the Broker's Hideout can get that first blue source at the very least, and Sprite drawing an Atraxa for turn, so doesn't have a fourth land at the moment.
Yeah,
But has
Sprite's,
third push.
Sprite's definitely in a rough position, but the herd migration can definitely get there. The Leyline Binding, I think, really should be targeting the Analyst at some point because that's like one of the main combo pieces that needs to get rid of. Carnosaur might be used to get rid of it, actually, I think, just because it's more reliable. But Sprite's going to be getting that extra land sometime soon. And Six Fist, I think this is a really interesting thing to note. Six Fist has 36 lands in their deck. They have drawn 3 lands in a row. Keeping a 2-lander is very reliable and not at all a bad thing because they don't have to worry about getting mana screwed. It's almost never going to happen. More than half the deck is land because the combo. But it works because Sixers has a counterspell, 2 draw spells, and a combo piece. So they don't need to draw any other non-land cards. If all they draw from now on is a lands, they don't even, it doesn't matter that much. It's fine.
That
The
makes
thing
them
that
happy.
really yeah. The thing that really sucks is the fact that Sixers doesn't have another blue source. But like that almost doesn't matter because there are a couple lands in the graveyard. They can still recur with the Splendid Reclamation, get a blue land, and start memory delusion to victory. It's a very, and Takinuma can recur the furtive analyst. It's just there's so many things that can happen here.
I like this. Good draw in the Chrome Host Seed Shark. Double Leyline Binding in hand for Sprite. Now, Disdainful Stroke is in hand for 6/5, but that would not stop the Chrome Host Seed Shark from making a 6-power little token guy.
Yes, this is very strong. Oh, Nissa's back. Okay, that's really good. I would be
very good.
I would be debating even just casting Splendid Reclamation just to simply get like 8 lands on the battlefield, just because that's such a good position to be in. When Sprite taps out and doesn't have blue mana up, being able to cast Splendid Reclamation is very, very nice here. Yeah. Wow, before the River Choose Overlook is cast or played, that's really interesting choice.
Yeah, we see that happening. Broker's Hideout going to come back. Gonna grab a basic land. We see another forest hitting the battlefield on the side of 6/5, and Riveteer's Outlook gonna grab a little something from the deck as well. See Duress in the hand of 6/5, as well as that Nissa double Memory Deluge and Disdainful Stroke. So this Chrome Seed Shark needs to do a little bit of work as it gets into the red zone, bringing 6/5 down to 21. And Duress going to take a little looky-loo here. Double Leyline Binding, Sunfall, double Trumpeting Carnosaur, and an Atraxa Grand Unifier, as you can expect. One of the Leyline Bindings is going to hit the bin. And now 6/5 has all the mana and all the knowledge of what is going on.
Yeah, these memory delusions are going to be so nice. And this Duress was also very clutch. 6/5 now knows that Sprite is not going to have a counterspell for any of these spells. So 6/5 can freely cast these things, not worry about anything, take whatever they need, combo off later. There's only one Leyline Binding to play around.
So we see Slogurk and Otawara Soaring City going to be the picks off of that first Merry Deluge, and a repeat copy of Nissa Resurgent Animus will be the draw for turn. Just kind of gonna go through here. Like you said, those Memory Deluges gonna build up as not that much of a clock on Sprite's side at the moment. We see Up the Beanstalk be the draw, so a little 2/2 incubate token here.
There's a land. That's
Gonna
good.
hit 6th land. Sprite certainly needs to hit her land drops to stay in this game, and Azeator is proving down just what the doctor ordered as 6/5 drops down to 17. We see 6/5 with just under 12 minutes on their clock as well. So the combo may be infinite, and or may not be infinite, but the clock certainly reflects it as if it is infinite. So
Here we go. 6/5 might be thinking about comboing off right as we speak. And has the disdainful strokes for that leyline binding. And there's only one white source on Sprite's board. So only one leyline binding can actually be cast.
Oh man. And going to choose to cycle that Carnosaur to deal the 3 damage to Nissa, but now Sprite's tapped out. Saying, all right, there you go. You got the board. Do your worst.
It's Slogurk time.
It is Slogurk time. I like the little clock right over Chandra's face. So. Frozen at just under 11 minutes, and we see Leyline Binding. Sprite flirting with Leyline Binding here. That is big, as Up the Beanstalk going to draw a card, drew the 7th land, and also going to make a 6/6 incubate token. So.
Ultwar only. Interesting.
Yeah. And now I'm going to get in. Now, this is an attack for 4. That brings 6/5 down to 15. I'm going to play that land. And now Nissa can definitely get a game over very quickly with her -7 overrun. So we'll see if it comes to that. We know the disdainful stroke in 6/5's hand, as they are playing an Aftermath Analyst here, milling 3 cards. I saw some lands and one of the Jaces, the other Jace safely in 6/5's hand at the moment.
Yeah, they need to manage their time extremely wisely. They need to very quickly figure out what the most important things are to cast and when to cast them in advance before it's even their turn. Because if they spend time thinking about it too much, the clock's going to go down. I think it should be okay. I think 6/5 is adept enough at this deck that that's not really a problem, but it's always something to keep in mind.
So let's see. So, I mean, Sprite right now has the battlefield, even though 6/5 has more cards in hand. Now, we know that Urtai Resurrected is there if need be from the side of 6/5. Sprite, considering her options right now, thinking about what the best course of action is here. That is 10 damage among those 3 creatures on the battlefield. And that's where things are going to start. We'll see if 6/5 decides to do anything about any of this. And the answer will be no. So 6 just going to drop to 6.
6.
Yes.
This is a risk. If Sprite had 2 trumpeting Carnosaurs, 6/5 would just be potentially dead here. The Urtide does counter it, but it's a very, very risky move to go down to that low of a life total. This is 6/5 basically saying, I'm comboing off next turn, whether I like it or not. And if I lose, then I lose. It is what it is.
We see Nissa and Aftermath Analyst together again, BFFs, back on the battlefield. And you can see Sprite taking a look at that trumpeting Carnosaur being like, do it now? Do it now?
I would be tempted. You don't want Nissa to get that much lands.
Yes. And it looks like, thinking about starting with a leyline binding. Now, 6 does have 5 cards in hand and a lot of available mana, but this does draw a card off of the Beanstalk as well as make another incubate token. So it's not like Sprite got nothing out of a leyline binding in case it gets countered, which it will quickly by a disdainful stroke out of the hand of 6/5, drawing an untapped land to off of the Up the Beanstalk trigger. Now let's
There's
see.
one Jace in the graveyard, and there's probably some Takenumas the 6/6 are looking for. I need to build this deck in standard and see what I can do with it. This is
All
great.
68 cards.
Actually, yeah, all 68 cards.
Now, here's what Urtai was waiting for. The Trumpeting Carnosaur activated ability going to be countered. Sprite gets to draw a card off of it, but not a great constellation this time, as they draw a Cavern of Souls, only good for creatures. Whether or not Atraxa would even live long enough to connect, or if Sprite would even make it that long without being milled out, needs to make it through 2 more turns with the Atraxa in play, as we see 6/5 is starting to do their thing.
Yeah, the only question is, can they recur themselves enough to get enough mana to get all the combo pieces out and also enough Jaces?
Right, and can they do it in the next 8.5 minutes? We are going to find out, so sit tight, everybody. I feel like we're not going anywhere for a little while. Grab a Snickers.
Perhaps in the next 8 minutes and 14, 13 seconds, 12 seconds even.
Yes, as a reminder, you're not going crazy. Seconds aren't going faster. We just sped up this match a little bit to for time considerations, as we see 6/5 still playing at a very reasonable pace either way, because sometimes going real quick.
Don't you mean we made time go faster when this matchup was happening, which is why the match is going as quick as it is right now?
Right, to fairy style.
Make time go faster! All right, there's the first Jace.
There's the
What's
first
gonna
Jace.
happen? I wonder what will happen.
Going to self-mill to draw 3 cards. And it looks like the cards are all lands. It's a hideout, a storefront, and an echoing deeps. Excuse me, not depths, deeps.
Echoing Deeps. Very, very cool card from Ixalan. A cloning of a land in any graveyard. Very, very versatile.
Yes.
You can do whatever you need with it. Or it's just a colorless land, untapped. Like, it does both. It slices the dices. It does your taxes.
Oh, it's hired. So
Man,
now, oh,
no, you're fine. I was just gonna say, I would be so tempted to cast Sunfall here.
I just get in for 6 with your first incubate token. We're gonna see this is coming down. This is big, but the
But you know,
distinguishment is in hand for 6/5. So Nissa is sorry, not this time. Although once again, we'll draw a card off of the up the beanstalk and make a 7 power incubate token. And Sprite's gonna say, well, all right, I know I gotta get you dead before I get milled out again here. So just gonna get into the red zone and full on attack face. Not going after Jace at all.
oh my god. This is exactly enough power to take 6/5 to 1 if one of those 6/6s are blocked. That's crazy. All they have to do is block one of the 6/6s, and they're down to 1.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my god.
Oh, so close and yet so far. And another Nissa is the draw here. So Jace is going to mill and draw 3 cards. We see a River Tears Outlook, an Atraxa, and a Negate. So with Sprite totally tapped out, once again, 6/5 behind the driver's wheel can do whatever they want.
Memory Deluge, tutor in the top 7.
Right? And
Takenuma. Is that it? Is that what's necessary?
We are going to find out.
Oh boy, this is cutting it really close. Nissa, though, getting that mana.
Right? Breaker's Hideout. Gaining that life, definitely, you know what? Going from 1 to 2, not that big of a deal. But here, let's see. The life gain here is going to be impressive, to say the least, as Nissa go burr.
What do you mean? That's crazy. They just doubled your life total. That
Right?
could you next you're gonna say go from 2 to 4. You double your life total again. That's crazy. You got 6 mana to double your life total, you know?
Love
Celestial.
path. All right.
Well, oh my god. this
So many
is
lands.
so we look at the mana that is floating right now. We have at least 11, 14 mana currently floating. It looks like 6/5 is not fetching a lands, which means that these fetch lands are no longer getting mana. They're no longer getting more lands.
Yes, I believe they are out of lands, but they're Odawara can take care of that leyline binding, and Slogurk is back in business, my friends. And we'll see Takanuma once again being channeled, and Aftermath Analyst is here once again, has plenty of mana to activate it. Once again, Slogurk bouncing back to hand, returning lands to hand. It's wild, but is it too wild for the 4 minutes left on 6/5 clock is my question.
This is intense because this is all happening on 6's time. They need to do this right now. Like everything needs to happen exactly the way and just get it done.
Sprite's like getting a sandwich. You know, like I'll be like, I'm gonna go get a cup of water. I'm gonna use the bathroom, go walk the dog.
How much time does it take to cook up some ramen?
Right? It's perfect. 3 minutes. So if I come back, either my ramen is ready, and either I'll be dead or you'll be dead. This is perfect.
We know for sure that this is the last game because it takes so long for 6/5 to play through their whole deck. If 6/5 were to somehow lose this game, there's no way that they could win the next game over. Unless Sprite was like mana screwed on one land for the entire game, right? So 6/5 has to close it out right now. They do not have a choice. Close it out right now or lose. That is the current situation.
And it looks like Jace has started to come back. So milling 15 cards. All right, that's Jace number one.
That's one Jace. Looking at the cards, looking at the math.
And
but is it enough?
Takanuma once again. 2 minutes ago, Jace coming on down.
I think they're looking at the number of cards in Sprite's deck. I don't think it's enough. This is all dependent on how many cards Sprite has drawn, because I think Sprite's only been milled 15 one time. 6/6 is looking at the math. It doesn't look like it's checking out. I think that this might be it. I think
needed to go through it one more time, and that's gonna do it for game number 2. Is there time for game number 3?
No.
Sprite's coming back with their bowl of ramen and be like, yo, what's going on? Like, why am I on my sideboard screen?
I don't think there's enough time. The combo takes too much real time to actually be able to. All Sprite has to do is not die.
Right. Just
Actually,
don't disconnect.
Not even, right? Because 6/5, it takes time to set up the lands, let alone combo off.
Right. And everything that is done takes time. There's nothing. Yeah, as we could see, the sideboard went real quick. Even that 2-second, keep whatever. Every land that 6/5 is going to play here it's going to take 3, 4, 5 seconds off the clock just to fetch a basic, no matter how fast you do it.
Yeah, and every trigger, every time, every loading bit. And this is sort of like one of the unfortunate things about playing online is that these loading screens, the animations take time. The very fact that those animations take those precious seconds, that's looks leyline binding. Take it. Get out of here. Yep. quick. Make those decisions. Land. Next turn. Nissa. Okay, land. Like it's just
right.
The decisions are
just hoping you can get there, and the Nissa beatdowns, the Slogurk beatdowns, just be like, all right, I have a Nissa. Play quick, let go.
Yeah, keeping up Disdainful Stroke for whatever. It doesn't really matter. Angel's gonna get chosen, of course. Oh, Disdainful Stroke can hit the invasion. It doesn't matter though. That's not why you play Disdainful Stroke.
See Nissa coming down. Lands.
All right.
Nissa gonna find an elf.
Here's what's gonna happen. You gotta win the game in 20 seconds. Can you do that?
Nissa hitting another Nissa.
I mean, that's That's not too bad because at the very least, another land like later. It's reliability,
I love that Sprite. Not even wanting to play Atraxa is being like, nah, I'm just keeping up Carnosaur. I just want to kill your Nissa. I don't think I can die in 18 seconds, but just in case I can.
Just in case you play the I win the game card. Oh, that is so unfortunate. Success,
That
I think,
is.
was in such a good position in
I
both games.
I agree. One of the takeaways I've had is that this Slogurk deck is always stuck on 1 second. This Slogurk deck is exceedingly difficult to play.
I don't know. I think Sprite could have even closed this next game because look at these cards that Sprite's drawing. It's not exactly easy for Six Fists to deal with this stuff, and Six Fists did not have draw. We
That
have no idea
is
how that game's gonna go, but man, probably
right.
could have gone either way. It's anybody's game.
That was something else, though. So good games to both of our players out of Division 16, both Sprite and Six Fifths. You both played fantastic in the 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 bashing of the ramp decks. We see 5-color ramp take it down over 4-color ramp in a match that goes to time. So, but very well played, well navigated on both sides, and that was just an impressive match of Magic.
Absolutely. It's really pushing to the limit of what is legal and possible in standard. It's absolutely phenomenal that people are finding strategies that you would not immediately think of. Just the way that the cards work together in such a very specific way to generate so much card and mana advantage so quickly.
That's a
Very
reference to playing 68 cards, you mean, right? So
yeah, especially
that's the
playing
legal lead.
playing 68 cards wasn't the problem. Sixes was milling out, but it wasn't enough mana to close out the game because the combo wasn't infinite enough, I think. Something
Right.
like that.
It wasn't the problem, it was just my problem. I just
Yeah.
I can't count that high. I run out of fingers after a certain.
Yeah. That's how it
But
is.
wow, but good games too. Both of our players, both of them are moving on to. Actually, I believe that makes Sprite undefeated in Division 16 still. So that's pretty impressive playing that 5-color ramp deck. So keep on keeping on, and I mean it's week 5. It's not. There's only 2 more weeks of round robin play left. So finish strong to both Six and Sprite, and let's move on to our next matchup. We're going to get a little mid-rangey in here as we take a look at Esper mid-range. So we've seen a lot of takes on Esper over the past couple of years, honestly, in standard. We've seen a lot of like Esper Legends, even some like Esper aggro decks. What is setting this deck apart? What makes it so mid-rangey? As you see your Fiends and your Denics, your Bats, wedding announcement. Like, what do you think sets this apart and says, no, this is not Legends, this is not, aggro, this is not control, this is a mid-range deck?
I don't even think that's up. I think what you said is right. The wedding announcement, as well as the virtue of loyalty, getting those enchantments down, and the fact that it's not a legends deck because it's not really relying on legend strategies. It's not really taking advantage of, say, Plaza of Heroes, which is a fantastic card that you'll see in legends decks all the time. It's just a bunch of good cards, and it just happens that a lot of those good cards are legendary.
So Paige is a long-time VMLer. She is fantastic, and she is 3-1 in division number 3 right now. And I so do you think that this Esper mid-range deck is just it's well positioned? Like, she's saying that she's been playing Esper the most over the last year or so. Do you think there's something that goes into how many reps you have with a deck when it comes to deck submission here in the VML?
I think it's reliable. I mean, it's proven to be reliable for a while now, and it's still good. It's just sometimes it doesn't work out quite well against control. But it's still a good matchup there. And it can still combat the aggressive decks as well, depending on what it draws. If it can match the token density.
Love it, love it. And as you can see, she says this is her deck for RCQ season. Although the top competitors this season will be earning our regional championship invites. So that's pretty sweet. That's how you can fight your way to your local regional championships and the Pro Tour through playing in the VML. So if you want more information, exclamation point VML in chat, or make sure to follow us here on Twitch and Twitter as we look at our opponent here, Talia. She is on Boros mid-range, but it's a little different than a lot of the Boros decks we've been seeing, and she really is putting mid-range into this deck, as we see Quintorius Can, Sarah Paragon. What are your thoughts about this deck, this take on Boros?
I kind of love it. It's taking on a lot of the elements that you see in red white tokens and putting in a lot of really good value engines like Wedding Announcement and Quintorius Canned, a card that you can sort of use to randomly cascade into things, get value, and make 3/2 spirits, just like he did in the original Strixhaven set. So you have a lot of really fun shenanigans going on here. I can't wait to see it in action.
I love it, and I am here for it. I also cannot wait to see this showdown happening. We've got the battle of the mid-range decks. So we're coming off the ramp decks into the mid-range decks. We've got Paige on Esper mid-range and Talia on Boros mid-range. We are going to be watching from the side of our Esper player Paige as we look at this opening hand here. We got Rafine's Tower, a bunch of tap lands, kind of a blah hand, and Paige is going to ship that one back and take a look. What about this 6?
I like it. You have the Deep Cavern Bats to deal with any potential card advantage that might be happening later. You're not particularly worried about removal because Talia didn't seem to have that much removal in the main board. So I think these bats are definitely going to get there.
All right, and we'll see Batty Bat number 1 hitting the battlefield as Talia, nothing on turns 1 or 2. Going to get lost in response to the trigger. And we see a hand of 4 lands and a Quintorius Can. One of those lands, a Sokanzen, so a channel land. It has some abilities, and probably one of the best draws could have had she plays a Wedding Announcement. Paige probably just went, oh man.
That's a great, fantastic draw for Talia there. And then the Soken's on. You can theoretically get tokens, draw an extra card, or just sit there. Oh, well, never mind. That's fine.
Back-to-back jacks for our friend Talia there on top. Double Wedding Announcements. Wow, that's got to feel so good if you are Talia, and not as great if you are Paige, being like, can't catch a break, has a Wedding Announcement of her own to play, a Deep Cavern Bat, a Denic, has other options. The second Rafine in hand doesn't feel so great. Playing a tap land, playing a Deep Cavern Bat, being like, you know what, give me that Quintorius Can before you can play it. You're going to get in with Rafine, do a little loot skis here, draw and discard a second copy of Denic. Feels pretty good to have one of those in the graveyard. That works out. And getting on the aggressive is Talia here, though.
I mean, you just gotta trust that your deck will draw exactly what you need at exactly the right time, and also Wedding Announcement forever. Oh wow! Look at all my tutus.
And we see Paige drawing a second copy of Wedding Announcement here. Both Rafine and the Deep Cavern Bat gonna get into the red zone. Remember, Deep Cavern Bat does have lifelink, so being able to connive on the Deep Cavern Bat feels pretty good. We'll see what Paige is going to discard to this Rafine trigger. Second Rafine makes sense, and it looks like perhaps a land.
Oh wow. It's really interesting because Paige does not have the board wipe to deal with this board. Like,
All right.
yeah.
That's definitely painful, but we see a Denic and a Wedding Announcement. So Paige working on building up her board as well. And has the life gain out there? The Denic will gain some life. Deep Cavern Bat is going to gain some life.
It's gonna help a little bit, but the pressure is in the realm of Talia right now. With those tutus, even if one just dies here, it's still okay. Cool, that's fine. Oh wow, Sarah Paragon, which by the way gets around Denic for all of you rules lovers out there.
I don't
That's
love rules, so it's not for me, but
what? That's ridiculous. I can't believe that. That's it. It's over.
it's done.
Yeah, the stream is over. That's it. You hate
So
rules?
the stream is we'll pause the stream. We'll discuss things like layers and all that. So I'll go take a nap, or I'll go make some ramen. How about that? As we see, go for the throat, taking care of that Sarah Paragon. But like you had said, in a little bit of trouble right here. Deep Cavern Bat probably not blocking, so gonna get in. Drawing a cut down, not so good when your opponent only has 3/3s and 4/4s, but good enough to put a
Yeah.
counter on that Deep Cavern Bat. So making it a 3/3, gaining 3 life, going up to 12. Talia is also at 7. But the thing is Paige going to be able to live here?
Yeah, I like the very strategic attacking with one creature, just so that the wedding announcements is able to get a token down, rather than two creatures, which would remove the blockers. Those 3/3s are very oppressive right now, and the NT is just going to draw even more cards. And Paige is going to have to start blocking pretty aggressively to survive. Denick has lifelink, the Bat has lifelink, so Paige isn't just dead on board, but, oh, well, get lost.
Get lost to Rafine, paying the ward. And don't forget, Inti not only gives a counter, it also gives trample temporarily to one of these big old creatures. So I can't just chump with a 1/1 on, at least in front of the one that gets trample.
Temporarily.
Temporarily. I like that. That's an A+ for me.
An eyebrow said that one's an eyebrow wiggler. I really outdid myself with that one. That was a peak of my humor tonight.
I'm very glad I was here for it. As we see, Paige needs to throw some creatures in front, doing some chump blocking. These map tokens and that restless anchorage, if things work out, can it work out?
Yeah, but
That would be
Paige needs to hit twice.
Yes.
Oh wait, well, okay, no. Paige needs to hit it once, because if it's not a
Once
land,
one, yes.
yeah. But if that top card's a land,
And Talia doesn't
oh
have any.
man,
Oh my goodness! It
you
just
know,
has.
I. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm excited.
If Paige had simply not blocked with Denick, Paige would have had 7 damage on the crackback. So does that mean that Talia is holding removal, knowing that Paige had something? Oh, Paige is not activating the manland though. Oh.
We'll see. All right, getting in, going to 4. So Paige is up to 10. This way, Paige does have a Shana's Tidebinder on the way back. Oh, and it was a Virtual of Loyalty in hand, making a 2/2 that's actually a 4/4. And the first wedding announcement on Paige's side does flip here. Tidebinder and a Restless Anchorage cannot do both, but has some blockers here. Will she be able to stay alive? Or is Talia going to take down game number 1 here on this attack? We are going to find out. Oh, Geological Appraiser, 2 cards in 1.
2 for the price of 1. I'd love to see an Imodane's Recruiter. That would be pretty insane. Oh wait, just kidding. That's not happening.
Oh, I'm sorry, I must have miscounted lands. There is enough to play this Tidebinder and to activate the Anchorage. So it looks like it's an all-in attack here from Talia. Inti gonna trigger, not gonna discard anything because there's nothing to discard. So nothing will happen there. Restless Anchorage is gonna say, all right, I'm throwing you in front of something. So just got to stay alive here. We're going to block a bunch of those 4/4s, and it looks like it's just 6 damage. Oh, wait, is this? Yes, it's 6 damage that will come through, and that will do it. And Paige will, in a nail biter, take down game number 1 in this mid-range matchup. So that is Esper mid-range taking down number 1. And moving to sideboards here, what do we think about this Esper mid-range sideboard? I see some Go for the Throats, Wandering Emperors, Destroy Evils coming in.
I like the Destroy Evils. I like the Disdainful Strokes. I might even put in Lauren, to be honest, to deal with those wedding announcements. Just because it's a creature that does things incorporated. This is an interesting. Like, for instance, you look at this hand, you're like, man, if one of these negates was a Lauren, that could have been very useful. At least you can destroy a wedding announcement after negating or holding or having a negate for a Quintorius, and having that creature would have been really nice. Unfortunately, if Talia's hand is full of creatures, this negates not so hot. The Go for the Throat might be okay, but who knows?
Yes. And
It also needs a third
2
land.
tap lands, and they are both, as of right now, tap lands. Okay, shouldn't have spoken. Sorry, but
No, you're good.
lands, but Fourth land. So see, there you go. I see. I shouldn't say anything. Why did I say anything? Cabaret Courtyard from the side of Talia. So once again, nothing on turns 1 or 2. Talia is playing 4 of the brand new 1-drop Novice Inspector that comes in and investigates the structural, functional reprint of Thraben Inspector. Let's see, Geological Appraiser be the first play from Talia. Shana's Tidebinder kind of come in and be like, no, you're going to be a regular old 3-2. And that's that.
No, I don't think so.
We'll see. Land number 4 on the side of Paige. So already having access to that anchorage, having the double negate if Talia wants to do anything too crazy over here. We will see. It looks like Sarah Paragon. And like you said, negate can't quite stop that.
Cool card.
But yes, very cool.
We love to get lands.
Love lands. Gain a little life. Do a little rampy.
Yeah, I think Paige is lacking a little bit on pressure. The Raffine will be nice. Discarding a negate might even be necessary. Oh, well, just kidding. Virtue of Loyalty.
Virtue of Loyalty, a great card. We've seen that one pop up everywhere now. And being able to Raffine and play the Ardenvale Fealty is pretty great. We see Wedding Announcement as well. So just going to ditch that 6 land and be like, I don't need 6. 5's good.
I do like Virtue of Loyalty. It even fits technically into like a control shell, right? Because it's an instant speed creature. Oh, that's no to that, please.
So hey, you know what? Didn't get to cast the adventure side of Virtue of Loyalty, the Ardenvale Fealty quite yet, but probably felt pretty good to send the Wedding Announcement into the Netherrealm. So let's see. Just Raffine getting in the red zone here and drawing another non-land. So going to have to discard a non-land here, and it looks like second Raffine is going.
That's fine.
Wedding Announcement also working. So just getting in with the 1, going to make the 1/1 token and start to build a big battlefield here. And Talia going to say, all right, Sarah Paragon, take 2. Is Paige going to say, go for the third take 2?
Probably eventually, but this is really good card advantage because Talia is forcing Paige to use these counter spells. Oh, and because it was countered, it could be recurred at a later time to another Sarah Paragon. That is interesting how that works.
That is pretty incredible. And Paige saying, you know what? I'll just draw cards off my Wedding Announcement now. I'm getting in with everybody. So we see Make Disappear, Disdainful Stroke, and Land being drawn here. Happy to discard land. Oh, and Make Disappear as the soft counter spell. And Geological Appraiser is saying that's enough. I'm just going to block this Shana's Tidebinder, take 3 less damage. So only down to 16 goes Talia. And at 17 is Paige. Loran, like you had said.
Yeah, kills the Wedding Announcement real good.
Boom.
We love to see it.
Virtue of Loyalty. There's your instant speed creature. And looking to get in before she does anything else on the battlefield. Paige is going to try to connive into the night, but the Iganjo is going to kill it before that can happen. So just Raffine and the little 2/2 getting in. Will Loran block here? Only 1 card left in hand for Talia. So is this Loran more valuable to Talia? Do you think she's going to use the ability to try to draw cards here?
I don't quite know. Probably, if Talia has like a lot of lands in her, it's just going to be a thing. There definitely needs to be some gas. Oh, there it is. Quintorius can maybe. Nope.
Oh.
Thraben Inspector.
Yes.
See cool card.
Sacking that clue immediately, saying, add to my hand, Inspector. Let's see what you got. Playing a dual land and gonna Lightning Helix. Oh my god.
Double Lightning Helix moment?
Double Lightning Helix, double paying the ward.
Wow.
6 mana, deal 6.
That's incredible.
I love it. I'm here for it. I love it. And you know, obviously Talia just hell-bent, no cards in hand. And Paige is saying though, I gotta get back on this battle. I need to take things over now before things can get out of control on Talia's side, because Quintorius can get back into this game pretty easily. We'll see Lauren once again being activated to sound
And
your siren.
countered.
No.
Nuh-uh. And
And it looks like that will take care of that. On a go for the throat, a pretty good draw from Paige. So having the Disdainful Stroke to protect from any of Talia's bigger threats, and having the go for the throat to clean up anything that Disdainful Stroke wouldn't be able to take care of, that she's feeling confident enough to get in the red zone with this Restless Anchorage as well.
Oh, there's a get. Yeah, that's an appropriate get lost, I think, for the Virtue of Loyalty. It needs to go away. It's too
Right.
much pressure. Although Talia is definitely in a losing position right now. I don't think that they're going to be able to get out of this.
I guess we will see.
If it needs to draw Quintorius, maybe.
Quintorius is definitely a powerful magic card. Could help her get there. We'll see what she decides to do. And it looks like nothing, just going to pass the turn. So with a mystery card in hand at 6 life, and Ashlizzlle is going to be the draw on the side of Paige.
That is such a cool bomb to have at this exact moment.
Hard to kill. It's so hard to remove entirely.
You can flip it into a land. It's not the worst, but yeah, yeah.
Oh, but too much, says Talia. And Paige is going to take that one down 2-0 in the battle of our mid-range players. So in Division 3, Paige is going to keep moving on up with Esper mid-range. Good games to both of our players, though, in that exciting matchup. I'm telling you, that first game was something else. That was something else. It was coming down to doing math. I'm sitting here, I'm going, well, if they attack the 2, and if we block there, if we jump there, if this tramples over for 5 damage, and you know, there's definitely a lot of life total watching in that game, and definitely a lot of intricate play. So really well played and well navigated to both of our players. And I believe that leaves us with our last matchup of the evening. We're going to
Let's do it.
Moving on over to Division 13 and checking out Chai here. Chai is 3-1, and they have brought Jeskai Convoke. So everybody's seen the Boros Convoke deck. Just add blue.
Just add blue.
Just add blue. We see some Spyglass Sirens in there, some Zephyr Sentinels. Since hey, a lot of the Boros Convoke deck is soldiers and everything anyway. So this is kind of like taking, you know, Azorius, the soldiers deck, and Boros Convoke, and just going splush and combining them. That's what it feels like. Splush. I don't know what that noise was, but I said I don't know what splush is, but I imagine that's the sound of 2 decks combining. So
Absolutely. I mean, there you go. It's such a cool deck, right? You have so many things going on, and you have all of these great engines that help out the deck. Storm Siren, the Siren being used to get a map token on top of the Novice, being able to get a clue token, really rising the number of targets you have for your artifact destroy goblin making thing. Wow, the name, it's just Gleeful Demolition. Your targets for Gleeful Demolition are just so high. It's really cool. Really cool deck.
And as we've seen, Boros just powerfully, like how powerful the draws can be from that deck, and to be able to add like a little more like interaction with these Spyglass Sirens and the Zephyr Sentinels, like I'm very excited to see this one in action. And it looks like the mana base is not half bad either. So I am looking forward to seeing Chai pilot this one against Ashlizzle. Ashlizzle, a fantastic content creator in our community, also 3-1 in this division. So this is the battle of the 3-1s. Who will move on to 4-1 here and that much closer to a spot in the VML playoffs? Ashlizzle has decided to bring Simic artifacts, and I'm just seeing cauldrons just everywhere. So there's just Agatha's Soul Cauldron. I don't know why the image is like. Sometimes they just do the wildest thing with the images. Like they put the one creature land, the Restless Vine Stalk, just in the middle with all the creatures. I guess it makes a little bit of sense. But then like the Soul Cauldrons are just like all front and center next to the Zoetic Cliffs, and Cauldron kind of has a lot of words on it. It makes me feel a little like crazy because it's using a lot of those combo decks and everything, but it's really solid in these Simic artifact decks, in these blue-green artifact decks. A lot of uses. There's a lot of counters going on. Teething Wormlets. You've got Sentinel making maps and things. What is your thought about like blue-green artifacts here?
I think it's definitely a little bit more on the rogue deck list, but it is an aggro deck that feels very similar to the red-white Convoke decks that you'll see. It's a big thing about token spam. It's getting a lot of value based on getting a lot of things on the battlefield very early. It's hard to deal with sometimes, and you have some really impressive pieces. Zoetic Glyphs is a 5-power creature for 3 mana, essentially. Agatha's Soul Cauldron is main deck graveyard hate. You have the map-making guy, the 3/4 vigilance. Every time it enters the battlefield and attacks, you just get tokens. It's great. It continues to do things forever and ever, and you can't stop it.
I love it. I love it. This deck is great. I'm very curious to see which one of these decks is going to do a better job of clogging up the battlefields, because I feel like that's the goal of both of these decks.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
who's going to do it better?
Absolutely. We'll have to see.
We will have to see. I cannot wait to see as we head into our last matchup of the evening here in week 5 of the VML. We've got Jeskai Convoke against Ashlizzle on Simic Artifacts. We'll be watching from the side of Chai. Chai is our Jeskai Convoke player. Remember, both of these players at 3-1. So battling for those playoff spots, and I'm going to start off with a Fortified Beachhead on Chai's side, revealing the Resolute Reinforcements and playing out a Spyglass Siren, making a map token, and we've started clogging the battlefield already. So there we go.
This is already so cool. We have a turn 2 reinforcements and a potentially turn 3 war leader's call. Zephyr Sentinel to return Resolute Reinforcements. Wow, very cool.
That's so
Yeah, I love this. This is great. There's so many shenanigans that are going to happen this game.
I am here for it as we see a battle of the Spyglass Sirens. And as you see, Chai is just going to say, turn 2, play my land, pass a turn. Not that I showed you my Resolute Reinforcements, but nothing else here. Not going to crack the map or anything. As we see a Teething Wormlet and a Ginger Brute. So the army of 1/1s and now a 2/2 and Teething Wormlet going to come down. Ginger Brute and Spyglass Siren both looking to get into the red zone, unable to make the Ginger Brute unblockable. I wonder if Ashlizzle willing to trade off resources at this point of the game, having it be so early, and it looks like that will happen as the token off of Resolute Reinforcements does block. No third land from Chai. What do you think, as of yet, what do you think the play is here?
Not having third land is really rough because Chai really needs that third land to actually do anything. Well, there it is. That's cool. The way the deck works though, you need your 3-drops. The War Leader's Call needs to come down. The Imodine's Recruiter needs to come down. The Zephyr Sentinel definitely wants to be returning things like Yoshin Frontliner and all that. Oh wow, Ash is also digging for lands.
Oh wow, yes, and we see that as Spyglass Siren is going to find a Mirix. Case of the Filched Falcon is going to come down as a follow-up. So Teething Wormlet up to a 3/3. A Spyglass Siren still feeling froggy, looking to get into the red zone, and it will. So pinging Chai down to 18, and now Chai is just full of lands, has all the lands. Babel played the War Leader's Call here, and now with this double Imogene's Recruiter in hand, things can get real dicey for Ashlizzle real quick.
Yeah, making 2 2/2s that get buffed to 3/3, and then having a 2/2 where that gives everything haste is gonna be really nice. Oh, but this Wormlet's gonna start getting bigger now. Oh, it's just gonna go back and forth. This is awesome. I love this.
We see
Surge Engine.
Oh. and it's staying on top. So Surge Engine staying on top. Spyglass Siren once again getting it for 2, down to 16. And Gleeful Demolition is the draw as we see Zephyr Sentinel going to start things, going to bounce back the Spyglass Siren, play the Spyglass Siren, and then
Yeah.
presumably blow up this map token and make a bunch of little 1/1s that are actually 2/1s because of War Leader's Call, or 2/2s, excuse me. And
Kind of a, yeah, kind of
face.
unfortunate. Sorry, I keep
No, please.
thinking. It's kind of unfortunate that the Siren didn't attack in for 2 damage first, because that's 2 damage that could make the difference between a win and a loss. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yes, as nothing else did get in that turn. We see Kitesail Larcenist picking to change the map token into a treasure to be able to play Tough Cookie.
Yeah, and then the Zephyr Sentinel is saying, "You are now treasure. You are now an artifact." That's so funny.
That is something else. I like that a lot. And we see Spyglass Siren just keeps getting in this game. So Chai down to 14, and that has just been solo Spyglass Siren the whole time. Just getting in. I think maybe Gingerbrute did. No, Gingerbrute didn't do anything. Gingerbrute got blocked. So that's all from here. And Chai gonna hold on to those Imidane's Recruiter, not looking for that alpha strike quite yet. So would be able to cast the adventure side as well, but just not ready to do it. And there we go. Here's your surge engine, which is scary because it could be made unblockable.
You love to see it. It's the little 3/2 that could.
It is. Oh, and we see the draw here is another Zephyr Sentinel, but Imidane's Recruiter just going to come down, make a couple of 2/2s that are actually 3/3s, and go in face with a couple more points of damage. So Ashlizzlle down to 15. Chai is still at 12. And you know, these little pings keep happening here and there, but I'm curious who the first one of, you know, who's going to be the first to really get into the red zone. Who's the first one that's going to turn them all sideways?
Yeah, I think Ash is playing it very cool right now, but knowing that she can't really attack into Chai's board right now. These are all these 2/2s and 3/3s are able to easily multi-block a lot of these creatures that Ash is trying to win with.
Yes, and we see it. So Surge Engine going to start to get pumped up here. It has a lost defender and cannot be blocked. And we'll see if it goes to the next level. It doesn't look like it quite yet, but Sentinel looking to get in here, perhaps just to make a map token.
Make it a map. I mean, this thing's gonna get multi-blocked, I would assume.
Oh, does the map token solve the case of the Filch Falcon?
It's already solved. It was solved a couple turns ago. Which means Ash can sacrifice the case at any time for 3 mana. Oh, yeah, that works. Yeah. Take away the anthem.
That is brutal. A Boseiju on the War Leader's Call. So they looked really good as 2/2s, but now that they're 1/1s, that is a tough one for Chai there. A great play by Ashlizzlle, casting the channeling that Boseiju in the middle of combat. Wow. Going to map onto that Surge Engine. Again, that's a really scary threat. Can't, you know, the can't be blocked thing. When you're looking to block with your 1/1s and your 2/2s.
Knight Errant Navios, not a bad draw, but a little bit late because Chai's trying to think about how to best sequence this without dying instantly.
Yes, because Ash is still at a very healthy 19 life. We see Knight Errant of Eos just gonna Convoke and going to get rid of that treasure as well. So
Interesting.
taking a look at the top 4, we see double Warden of the Skies, a Novice Investigator, and a Resolute Reinforcements. And quickly going to take the Resolute Reinforcements as well as the Novice Inspector. Do a little investigating. Has flesh creatures in Zephyr Sentinel and Resolute Reinforcements. So we'll see what happens here.
Zephyr Sentinel is especially nice because it can return the Knight Errant and get another trigger set of draws to keep digging through the deck if needed.
So we will see what's going to happen here. 3 cards in hand for Ashlizzle. Let's see if she decides to. Oh my goodness, that's a Zoetic Glyph.
Well,
That's something.
that's a 2-turn clock.
That is a 2-turn clock.
Wait.
Ashlizzle going to say, "Stop me. Try."
Come at me.
Yes.
Wait,
Well,
is it? No, it's not creature. Never mind.
we see there is Zephyr Sentinel and Resolute Reinforcements here on Chai's side, and then she would be able to cast double Imidane's Recruiter next turn. The question is, would that be enough damage?
I wish that it was, but it probably isn't because Ash is at 19. Ash is being very conscious of the Imodane's recruiters. I think she's probably played against those enough to know how oppressive they can be.
And she is aware of the one that did adventure to make the 2/2/2s, but I believe unless Chai draws an answer for the Surge Engine, that it's Alpha Strike or bust next turn for right now. And it looks like the Warden of the Inner Sky, not exactly what Chai was looking for. So it might be the Imidane's Recruiter. Just turn them all sideways. Math is for blockers. You figure it out.
Whee! Here we go.
Yeah. And I'm gonna find one of the little soldiers to put that little boosty on from the Yodian frontliner. And
Is this enough damage? No, it is.
you know what? I wasn't doing the math. I would err on saying no, but I have known to be wrong before. So I see 7 from the Imidanes, and then 7 more, and then maybe 14.
Oh my god, I think it is.
It might be. Blocking
think it
all the
is.
biggest things here, making sure to block anything that is 4, 6 power, but it looks like it may be enough. Oh, gaining life from the tough cookie. Did that do it?
Oh,
Let's let it happen. And at 3, the
yeah.
tough cookie saved Ashlizzle. Cookies are good for you. Mark it down now. Cookies. A cookie can save your life, folks. All right? It happened. I saw it. Clip it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
I got
Gingerbread.
proof, right?
Gingerbread has life-saving qualities. If you eat a gingerbread, you will survive. I don't know, some type of disaster, earthquake.
Guaranteed.
You'll survive an earthquake.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Cookie will save you every time. Prop it up under your door. Keep people from getting in. Use it as a crutch. Use it as, I don't know. Give it to your friends. Throw it at your enemies. Give it to your friends' enemies. It's all purpose.
I feel like if somebody threw a cookie at me, I couldn't be their enemy anymore. I'd be like, all right, we can be friends. I would take it as a peace offering. So
that works. It works. It just works.
work as we move here into game number 2 between our two gamers here. Chai once again is our featured player here on the bottom. She is on Jeskai Convoke, and Ashlizzle on the top, making it happen there in game number 1 on Simic Artifacts. And we see just coming right out the gate, right out of the sideboard with a Haywire Might.
That is a cool sideboard card for War Leader's Call, which is a card that Chai put on the bottom of their deck, so they didn't have to worry about that.
Right? So Chai feeling great, being like, yeah, you know what? You could blow up my clue if you'd like, but that's about it. Has a pretty strong start from Chai, though, already with 4 power on the battlefield and a clue token. Ashlizzle mulling over her turn 2 here.
I'd be tempted to play the Knight Errant of Eos next turn. Play the Spyglass Siren into the Knight Errant at least. Something like that, maybe.
Would seem like a pretty powerful turn 2. Looks like
That works too.
Chai is opting to go a little heavier on this Warden of the Inner Sky, putting the Yoshin frontliner on the bottom. Gonna get in with the 3/4. And might gonna say I'm jumping right in front. So before damage, going to attempt to blow up the clue. Will gain some life here. So up to 20 goes Ashlizzle. Chai able to draw off that clue before the Haywire can blow it up. And maybe we'll see that Spyglass Siren into Knight Errant on the next turn.
Surge Engine nice here, but not very defensive. Chai can play Spyglass Siren and Novice Inspector, which makes 6 creatures and artifacts to tap to that Warden. That's really nice right now.
And we see that Chai also drawing the 1 of Lantern Flare out of the sideboard. It's 1 and a white instant. You can cleave for X red-white. Lantern Flare deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. X is the number of creatures you control. So that's quite a bit of life right now.
It absolutely is. Who needs to pay the X cost for Lantern Flare? Just have creatures.
Right? That's all you got to do.
Just have them on the battlefield. It just works every time, you know? Play against blue-green that has no board. Yeah, I think Ash playing blue-green is really unfortunate in this specific situation because she does not have board wipes to work with here. There's no way to deal with all of these tokens. Even a board would be nice. She had a board last game, and it still was not sufficient because of all the tokens that are in play.
See, Search Engine getting in. I guess it's not planning on blocking. So
Wow.
down to 16 goes Chai, and we're off to the races. We see Tough Cookie once again on the side of Ashlizzle, having saved the day in game number 1. Knight Errant of Eos is looking to come down here, and it will be almost a full Convoke as Warden of the Inner Sky going to remain untouched. The Vigilance 5/6 flying attacker, just 1 hit. The Zephyr Sentinel, albeit a good one.
If Chai had played another creature and convoked all 5, they would have had a second Knight Errant of Eos down. Unfortunately, that was not the case. I mean, you can't know, though. Like, it's good because you get the small creatures. You don't really necessarily play it because you want to chain into other ones.
Right. You're just hoping to dig and get some value out of them. So,
Yeah.
We'll see. Ash is at 9. That's a scary place to be in. There's this huge 5/6 flyer. Chai is at, oh, never mind. I spoke too soon. Chai is at 16. And we see that fight spell take care of the huge 5/6 Warden of the Inner Sky. And Surge Engine grows to a 6/5. Lantern Flare for 7, as the 7 creatures that Chai has in play will take care of that large Surge Engine. So only 2 cards left in hand for both of our players right now. But Chai with the healthy life total and board advantage, as she's just going to get in here.
Yeah, she's not pulling her punches. She's going in there. They know that Ash cannot crack the tough cookie. And as you know, if you can't eat the cookie, you're gonna die. You have to eat the cookie if you want to live here. As
Right.
you can see, this is clearly real time in action. Proof that the tough cookie needs to be sacrificed.
Right.
Because this is what happens when it doesn't. A block is forced on the 4/4 because it's the biggest creature. But even if the 4/4 is blocked, that is exactly 8 damage, and then it's just a win on the crackback.
Yes. So
Yep.
we see Ashlizzle saying, all right, I'm going to scoop them up, Chai. We're going to move on to game number 3. Are we going to see any changes in the sideboard here? I see some Yoshin frontliners maybe in, maybe out. The Chai on Jeskai Convoke going to be on the draw here. And ooh, not that pretty of an opening hand for Chai.
Yeah, it's yeah, this is definitely not right. Oh, this is better. Significantly.
There we go. All right, we'll start. I'm gonna ship that Imidane's recruiter to the bottom. No red mana at the moment. So we see fortified beachhead, double sea chrome coast, a knight errant, a spyglass siren, and a zephyr sentinel. Gingerbrute gonna start us off real quick. As that mean old cookie getting in for 1. So Chai is down to 19. Ashlizzle at 20.
Well, that's it. 19 life.
Yep.
Chai can't win. It's over. Oh, 18 life. Oh, that's it. That's
it,
the whole game.
right?
It's done. Ash gained 1 whole. Oh,
Live by the cookie, die by the cookie.
true.
So
If Ash has a Warden of the Inner City, that would be really fantastic, actually. Because getting a map token every turn to make the Teething Wormlet bigger every turn would probably be the best possible thing to have at this moment.
we see it no play from Chai, and seeing your
That works.
Jeskai Convoke aggro kind of just pass the turn with 2 mana up. You're going, all right, what's up? There's either a Sentinel or some reinforcements going on, most likely. And we know that Chai has both in hand as Gingerbrute and Teething Wormlet, both looking to get in. No blocks, and moving on. So just kind of checking out that schooner, just hanging out.
The Schooner is definitely a bit of an issue. Being a 3/4 is really good stats, only blocked by the Knight Errant, and then being able to explore a bunch, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, Chai is building up a very wide board, but it looks like Ashlizzle is going bigger here. As we see Chai on 3 lands, Ashlizzle on 2. 4 cards in hand for Ash, so that means she's working with all gas, and we can see it's the same on Chai's side, as she also has no lands in hand.
Oof, yeah, except the Ash is not playing Knight Errant, so unfortunately that's not quite going to get there.
Yeah, no way a schooner that 3/4. Oh, well, would say no way, but it looks like schooner wanting to get in just to maybe check out the top of the deck. Surge Engine gonna hit the bin, exploring onto that Gingerbrute. That whole no blocking could be a thing later, as we have both Gingerbrute and Surge Engine in play. And we see an Imidane's Recruiter, the draw here, just totally uncastable on both sides for Chai.
For now, yes, but if a single mountain is drawn, that will be very, very nice. And besides, Chai doesn't even need to cast it very much to get value out of it, or to get value out of her hand. Their hand is pretty stacked and has a bunch of flyers, has a bunch of attackers.
And we can see, like you said, about value, getting 2 creatures off of that Knight Errant Eos, looking to bin that War Leader's Call, saying, yeah, card's great, but without the red mana, it's not as great. Being able to put Resolute Reinforcements and Warden of the Inner Sky here, it's just going to do a blue-white aggro impression here. No need for the red this game.
Oh, but Ash is a 2-turn clock. Ash can just win the game with those unblockable creatures.
Ash could get in here. Surge Engine and Gingerbrute can both be unblockable. Chai doing some math here. Is there anything that Chai can do to stay alive?
Warden doesn't gain life. Reinforcements doesn't gain life. A Siren doesn't gain life. There's no removal. Yeah, Ash cannot deal with this clock. That's incredible, actually. That's wonderful. Wow. Every bit of damage helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting that counter on that Gingerbrute, attacking with that 3/4 into the 4/4. It seemed crazy with that schooner, but being able to put that counter on that Gingerbrute, realizing that it was important to get in with these attackers that could not be blocked, attacking for exact damage here in game number 3, and able to take down the match because of it is Ashlizzle. 2 games over 1. Simic artifacts over Jeskai Convoke, so Ashlizzle will move on to 4-1, but Chai still 3-2. there's still 2 weeks left. There's a lot of Magic to be played here at the VML, and you never know what happened. Good games to both of our players.
Absolutely.
That was a wild ride. Lots of cookies.
I will forever be remembering that. That's going to be my new running gag with myself, is when I'm playing. I'll just be like, yeah, they have a cookie, gotta concede. That's it. Can't
Right.
win.
It's like, I can't be a
It's-
cookie.
It's over.
I'd rather be friends with cookies. It's just me.
Exactly.
Oh, well, I mean, I suppose that does it for this evening. I've got a weird craving for some ramen and some cookies now. I don't know where it came from,
Sorry.
but it is here. And once again, though, before we close up shop, make sure you are following us here at VMLMTG on Twitter. We're here on Twitch, twitch.tv/VMLMTG. We're on YouTube, VMLMTG. Follow us, follow us, follow us. Again, a shout out to Birds of Paradise, our friends running an awesome tournament on Sunday on NileJoanRivers Twitch. So make sure you check them out. A lot of VML casters popping over there to help out. Love it. Love what they do. We worked with them this past weekend at MagicCon Chicago. They are an amazing organization filled with amazing people in the Magic community. And I adore every single one of them, And you should too. Make sure you're following them on Twitter as well. But wow, I guess that just about does it for us for the evening. Kuro, it's been amazing seeing you again. I feel like I haven't hung out in a while, so it's been good to be back here. And Cassie, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
What, me?
Find you.
You can find me on Discord. I'm always on Discord doing things. Doing Discord things. Yep.
I love it. And again, I'm Nicole Callan. You can find me at LadyOfTheCrease on all sorts of things, including Discord too, sometimes, and Twitter and all those fun internet places. And once again, I would like to thank everybody here at the VML. Would like to thank Wizards of the Coast for sponsoring us and being amazing, for all their support. Our admin team working so hard behind the scenes to make sure that everything goes smoothly every single week. Our team of casters, there is no other like the team we have assembled. All of our players for playing, recording, being amazing at Magic, and just being amazing human beings. All of our viewers for all of our support, all of the support that you give us, and also for being amazing. And the biggest thank you every single week goes to our wonderful producer, Phoebe.
I'm awake.
Who reminds me that I would also like to take a nap. And I adore Phoebe. I have now had the honor and the pleasure of working with Phoebe for 11 seasons, and I would not trade her for anything, because I just can't. You can't get better. I have the best, and that is Phoebe. So, and
Thank
you
you
also
so much, Nicole.
we're keeping her at the VML, and we're never letting her go. It's actually, we have her. She signed a contract, so she's ours.
Yeah. This is true.
This is true. Never letting you go, Phoebe. And I hope you all have a wonderful night, and be back here next week, week 6. Things are getting real. We're getting close to the playoffs. We're gonna have players start to stamp their tickets into the VML playoffs, which is a way to get to the regional championships and a way to get to the Pro Tour. We've got VML champs happening later in the year for our top 8 competitors this season. It's amazing. And we want you all here to cheer on our players. So we will see you next week right here, twitch.tv/VMLMTG at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Have a wonderful night.
I got to take a look at this contract now, apparently.